But you see what I mean? Like they didn't have to have that clean bridge there, but they put it there very purposefully to control the intensity of the section, to bring things down so that they come up. So this ebb and flow of intensity and calmness is like central to the flow of art and of stories and of songs. In my opinion, breakdowns and EDM drops are an abuse of this ebb and flow. I think that they're both an abuse of it, but also the pinnacle of it, right? So they are the pinnacle of tension and release, because that is the only purpose for them existing. They only exist: build up, drop, release. Build the tension up, drop, release. It's an artificial high to me. Like there's nothing to really, you can have it without any sort of emotional or intellectual investment in what's happening in the song. I mean, most EDM songs are about nothing. It's simply just, this sounds cool and I like it. And I hear people say this thing now, like it tickles my brain. It's like, so what are you, like a child STEM TV? Like you watch STEM TV? Like what is this, right? And I mean, that's essentially what breakdowns end up being too. It's like STEM television for adults. I want to feel the intensity, right? But then you don't want to put in the work to wait for the climax and get the most rewarding. You don't want to put in the work and the time invested to actually have a proper emotional climax in a song, because those take time, right? It's just easier to have a breakdown because that's heavy and it sounds cool and I like it. And so it's like, again, I mentioned The Stage by Avenged Sevenfold. It's an 8-minute song, but there's a whole lot of buildup to that climax in that song. And when it hits, it's like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like, this is crazy what I'm listening to right now. When you get to the final big moment of that song, and it has a lot of impact too. The lyrics are super, super deep, and he's saying, can't you wake up? And it's like, after all the craziness, we get there, and it just works really, really well. So yeah, to me, breakdowns, EDM drops, things like this, it's an artificial high. It's just using the power of noise and mixing to just build, things are calm and they build up and then they explode in just the craziest, most random way. And that's why a lot of them honestly end up being like a race to the bottom, right? Which here, let me explain it like this, right? That, because I don't think that you can have, I don't think that there can't be good breakdowns that fit the theme of a song. In fact, I think this song is a good example of that. This is one of the better breakdowns I've heard, because it actually fits with the idea of like having a breakdown because you're so lost and confused in the world that you live in, right? But that's not the case for most breakdowns. Most of them are written as a kind of a safe way to keep a listener engaged. It's like, oh, we've hit the bridge of our song. What do? Well, we write a breakdown. It's like, is that all you know how to write? Is that the only type of bridge you know how to do? Because there's infinite number of bridges and compositions that you can have in a song. There's so many ways to do it. There are like Guns N' Roses. Go listen to Guns N' Roses. They don't have a single breakdown in their song, and yet they have 8-9-minute songs with tons of bridges and interludes and all of this stuff. It's like, what do they do? How did they do that? How do they keep the listener engaged without breakdowns? Well, they have to be a little more creative. But what happens with these breakdowns, right, is that they end up being kind of a race to the bottom. They're like, because what happens is, right, is that you have a simple breakdown. And that, like, you look back, it's like, when I think about like the best breakdown ever, to me, call me a fucking boomer if you want, but it's oh my God, Pantera, Domination. It's Domination by Pantera. And it's very simple. Jun, 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 right? But it embodies the energy of a breakdown, right? But it's very simple. So then you have artists after that say, oh, I love Domination, so now I want to copy that. So then they do jun, 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 and they slowly start to copy that and do things. And then you get more complicated ones. You go dun, 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 and then you get faster, like bow, 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 and slowly over time, it's like photocopying an image and then photocopying it like 1,000 times, right? And you end up with these breakdowns that are just so random and ridiculous, and like you've almost lost the spirit of what a breakdown was supposed to be, and like the real life implications of a breakdown, because we've just gotten into this mode of like random breakdown. I mean, some of the breakdowns I've heard are essentially just EDM drops. They're just ridiculous sounding, and they don't even, but they mean nothing. There's no depth behind it. There's no theme to them. So yeah, like you end up with a bunch of artists competing to make the wackiest, most random, most like off-putting breakdown in order to accommodate, you know, people who like the fans of those breakdowns. And then to me, that's almost like the exact opposite of the mentality of the artists who try to make timeless works of art, right? Because think about it, right? Like if you want to make a timeless work of art, is your goal going to be to make the most intricate, complex, like wacky thing? Or is it going to be, what is the theme of the work? What is the purpose of this, of every single note, right? Like it's kind of like comparing ChatGPT crazy visualizations and all this shit, right, to like, you know, a Van Gogh or you know, what's that guy's name? I can't. It's late. Sorry, I'm losing my brain. But like you famous Renaissance paintings, where like every aspect of the painting, hell, even my thumbnail, from the Sistine Chapel. Oh my God, who painted? I know his name. Michelangelo. Is it Michelangelo? Please tell me it's Michelangelo. Yes. Okay, got it. I got it before I looked it up. Yeah, so like you look at Michelangelo, right? Like look at my thumbnail where you have Adam and God. I think it's called The Creation of Adam, and you know the implication is that if Adam is the human, and if he were to just raise his finger a little bit, he could touch God. And the implication of that is if we as humans actually put a little bit more effort into the things that we do and tried and weren't so lazy, we could actually become godlike, and we could touch God and we could experience that, right? That's one of the reasons why I chose it for the thumbnail, because I put a lot of work into these breakdowns, and I feel like if you know people listening to them can be inspired by them and put a little bit more effort into the music that they make, or be a little more selective about the music they listen to and what they consider to be good, I think that we would be better off. We would have less tolerance for bad stuff. That's a little bit of a tangent, but anyway, the whole point is that, you know, when you're talking about a timeless work, there's purpose to every move. And when you're talking about breakdowns, especially newer breakdowns, it's just wackiness and randomness for the sake of wackiness and randomness.